All right, this is day one of animation now. We got something drawn on the screen the other day, so we do some graphics here. We thought how to extend a class. We had a constructor. We talked about this paint component method. Super.paint component draws the screen the way it was before, and then we went and did set the background color, and then we filled an oval, filled rectangles. So this is how we painted something. Today we're going to get the ball to move across the screen. So we're going to try to animate. That's pretty exciting. All right. First thing is we really just want to do this exact same stuff again. So if you want to leave this class here, I strongly suggest that you just take all of this, copy it. So I'm going to select it all and copy it. Actually, we're going to have a little issue if we do that. Sorry. Let's just call this draw panel 2 for a second. Then select everything. Control A, copy it. And we'll make a new class. Sorry. We'll call this ball panel. I don't know. Because we're going to make a ball or animation panel, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I already have one called ball panel. Sorry. I have to call this, animate panel. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. I don't think that's how we spell animate. This is crazy. Does that look good? I don't know. Doesn't matter as long as we're consistently bad. All right. So we have this new class. I'm just going to take everything in here, delete it, and paste what I had from the other class. And you are going to get this error message that says, oh, you already have one called this. And it caused some issues, but it's all right. All you got to do is delete a couple letters of this and change it to the name of the class that you want it to be, compile it, and we should be good. Now, these error messages that we're getting, this is exactly what we want to get. We want to change this to this. If this is going to be the constructor, it has to have the same name as the class. So we're going to do that. All right, so we got that. We got a new class called Animate Panel. Everything else is the same. We changed the constructor. I'll keep this the same. I don't care about that. The main thing is you realize that the paint component method is automatically going to get called, just like before. We still want to do super.paint component. We can still set the background color to be whatever it is. Everything can be the same, except for now we're going to just put a single ball on the screen, and then we're going to try to make it move. So we're going to get rid of the rectangle that we drew. So we got everything working here. But it's like, all right, we compile this, it's going to say we're the best. But now, in our frame, if you notice right now, frame is saying, frame is building an object of this class that we had before. But I want the frame to now build an object of this class. So instead of building a whole new frame, we'll actually just use this frame too. I'm just going to comment out, this right here is where we created the panel. And then we added it and everything like that. So actually, maybe I'll just call this animate panel here instead. And this will be animate panel. This is our new one that we just made. And I think everything else should be good. If we compile it, it should say we're the best. And now if we run it, notice how my frame is now pointing to here saying, oh, I am creating an object of this class, or I'm using this class now, not this one. And it's just going to put that piece of paper on the screen. So we should end up with a red background and a green ball. Our goal is to get this green ball to go flying across the screen today, get some animation. So just like a flip book back in second grade, to get something to move across, we're going to draw it. And then we're going to move its X value over a little bit and draw it again, move it over a little bit, draw it again, move it over a little bit, draw it again. Let's do that really fast. It'll look like the ball's moving across the screen. So let's do that. So in here, as soon as we draw it, we want to change the X value. So we're just going to have it move across the screen, and then you can figure out the rest of it. But this value right here is the X value of where that ball is showing up. I want to quickly change that. So I want to change it to 51 and then 52 and then 53. If I want to do that, I realize I want that to be a variable, because I need it to change. So I can't hard code it as 50, so I need it to be a variable. I'm going to call it X, but then I need a global variable up here at the top called X. We'll make it an int, and we'll make it equal to 50, because that's what it was before. But then that gives us the option to add 1 to X right here. So we'll say X plus plus. And then we want to go back up and do this again, and go back up and do this again, and go back up and do this again. We kind of want to loop this. However, there is a special method in the JPanel class called repaint. So if I went to the API, I would find this repaint method, but you're like, oh, what do I use to call the repaint method? I need an object of the JPanel class. But since we are extending JPanel, this is the beauty of it, we're inheriting everything that JPanel has in it. Well, JPanel extends from somebody else who extends from somebody else. So we have access to a massive amount of methods, and one of those is repaint. So we don't have to build an object of the JPanel class because we are the JPanel class, or we're a child of the JPanel class. So we can just directly call that method repaint. The repaint method is an empty parameter method, and all it does is go back up and call paint component again. This is going to make the ball move across the screen. I am so excited, I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control. I think I like it. So I run it. And there went the ball across the screen. Now, if you did this exact same thing and you did not see the ball go across the screen, is because it might have went so fast, because your processor is so much faster than mine that it just flew across the screen and you never saw it. So what we need to do is put some sort of delay loop in. So right now we're just quickly doing this, and however fast your CPU is how fast this thing will do it. But before I repaint, before I make it do that, I want to put it like a delay loop in or put a delay in. And in Java, there is a way to do that, or there's multiple ways. We're going to use the thread class. So I'm going to write this code, and we'll see what this means. Thread.sleep, passing at 100. If I put thread, there must be a class called thread because it starts with a capital T. There must be a method called sleep in the thread class that is static because we're using the class name to call it. We didn't build an object of the thread class. And there must be a parameter of an int. And what the sleep method does is pause the computer, and it accepts a number of milliseconds. So 1,000 milliseconds would be 1 second. So this is going to pause the computer for 1/10 of a second before we repaint. We run it. It says, oh, you can't do that. And we look at the error message, and it says, unreported exception, interrupted exception must be caught or declared. If you ever get an error message like this, then whatever code you're trying to do must be embedded inside of a try catch. We've done that before in previous things. So we're going to embed this attempt inside of a try. So we say try. We start a curly brace. At the end of our trying, we close the curly brace, and then after that, we immediately put a catch. Catches are like method headers, so you put a catch, and then you put the name of the exception you want to catch. It said interrupted exception, but I'm just going to put exception in general, so I'll catch every exception. Doesn't matter what you call it. And then you start a curly brace, end a curly brace, and whatever you put in between here is what you want to do when you catch the exception. So if you just want to print an error message just to yourself to be like, what just happened? Caught thread exception. We've also done it where we have just called the toString method of E, but we're going to do that instead. Okay, so now this is going to pause the computer for 1/10 of a second before it repaints. So this is my delay loop right here. See what this looks like, and he's moving much slower. 1/10 of a second, he's moving 1 pixel. So maybe I want to move faster across the screen. I could change the delay loop so it's not so much of a delay, or I could, instead of adding 1 to X, I could add 2 to X. Many different things that you could do to make this change speed. So I could change this number and maybe make it 10, and then it would move faster, or I can, instead of adding 1 to X, I could say X plus equals 2 or X plus equals 3. Your little assignment is to see if you can get it to move diagonally as well. So we'll need a Y variable. Maybe you change a couple other things. In the next video, we'll learn how to get it to bounce off the screen. But that's a simple animation. Everything's the same as what we did before with graphics, except for we have this delay loop and the repaint. And then we change this number to an X so we could change its coordinates on the screen. I hope that helps.